All right, let's get right into it. Have you ever just looked at someone and wondered, how do they seem to be amazing at everything they try? We're talking about becoming a polymath, a true master of multiple, completely different fields. In this explainer, we are going to break down the real, science-backed way to do it. And I'm telling you, it is not what you think.
So first things first, what even is a polymath? Well, it's someone with genuine, deep expertise in several distinct areas. The classic example is Leonardo da Vinci, an absolute master of art, engineering, anatomy, you name it. But look, this isn't just some dusty old concept. Think about a modern-day guy like Johnny Kim. He's an elite Navy SEAL, a Harvard-trained doctor, and now a NASA astronaut. These aren't just hobbies, right? This is real mastery, stacked one on top of the other.
Now, if you go and Google how to become a polymath, you're almost guaranteed to find the same advice over and over. And it sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Just be curious, read widely. Your brain will just, magically connect all the dots. It feels right, it's appealing, and it's probably what most of us have been led to believe.
But here's the thing, and this is the whole point, really. That advice, it's fundamentally wrong. It just doesn't work. See, your brain doesn't just naturally build these bridges between totally different subjects. Just following your curiosity wherever it leads, well, that gives you a bunch of surface-level knowledge. It doesn't build deep expertise. So let's talk about what actually does.
Okay, so the very first principle here completely flips that common advice on its head. Before you can ever go wide, you absolutely have to go deep. You've got to build a rock-solid foundation in one field first. This is, without a doubt, the biggest mistake people make.
And this really gets to the heart of the difference between a dabbler and a true polymath. We all know the dabbler, right? They kind of collect hobbies. They'll do guitar for a few months, then some Spanish, but as soon as it gets really hard, they switch to something new. They end up with a lot of surface knowledge. The polymath, on the other hand, pushes through those tough parts. They achieve real mastery and develop this deep, intuitive feel for the subject.
And that feel, that's everything. You see, real expertise isn't just a pile of facts you can memorize and spit back out. It's your brain literally rewiring itself to build these powerful patterns that lead to instant recognition. Think about a grandmaster in chess. They don't sit there and calculate every single possible move. They just look at the board and they know the right path. It's this deep intuition that experts often can't even put into words. You can't learn it from a book, you have to build it through experience.
Johnny Kim's career is the perfect case study in this kind of sequential mastery. I mean, look at this. He didn't try to be a SEAL, a doctor, and an astronaut all at the same time. No way. First, he achieved total mastery as a Navy SEAL, building this incredible foundation of discipline and pattern recognition under the most extreme pressure imaginable. Then, he took that foundation and leveraged it to crush it at Harvard Medical School. And finally, he combined the skills from both of those intense fields to become a NASA astronaut. You see? Each step was built on the depth of the one before it.
So you might be thinking, doesn't this slow you down? Nope, not at all. This is the ultimate long-term shortcut. By going super deep in one thing first, you're not just learning that thing. You're learning how to learn. You're learning what mastery actually feels like. And because of that, get this. Research shows you can learn your second major field about 40% faster. You're basically building a supercharged engine for all your future learning.
All right, so you built that deep foundation. Now what? Well, the next step is to start building the bridges between fields. And here's the key. Your brain won't do this for you automatically. You have to actively, purposefully force the connections. This is the real art of cross-domain pattern matching.
There is this fascinating study done at the company 3M where they looked at their most successful inventors. They basically found three types of people. You had your specialists, who had super deep knowledge in one tiny area. You had your generalists, who knew a little bit about a lot of things. And then you had the polymaths, who had the deep expertise in one area, but had also worked across many others. The results were just staggering. It was only the polymaths who consistently came up with commercially successful breakthrough innovations.
So why? Why were the polymaths so much more effective? Well, it turns out they had a secret weapon. They could spot a fundamental pattern or a core idea in one field and then apply it to solve a totally unrelated problem in a different field. The specialists? They were just too narrow in their thinking. And the generalists? They didn't have enough depth to build a really solid solution. The polymaths had the best of both worlds.
So how do you actually train this skill? You have to be really deliberate about it, and you can use this simple technique. Anytime you learn a new important concept, let's say feedback loops in the context of business, don't just stop there. Immediately force yourself to find examples in completely different worlds. Where do you see feedback loops in, say climate science, or in your own personal relationships, or in artificial intelligence. Then, the crucial part, actually write down what the connection is. This trains your brain to stop putting information in little boxes and start seeing the big underlying patterns that run through everything.
And that brings us to our third and final principle. And I'll warn you, this one is the most counterintuitive of all. It's a method that sounds completely backward, but is backed by an incredible amount of solid scientific evidence. We're going to talk about the power of productive failure.
Yeah, it sounds a little crazy, I know. But the research is crystal clear on this. One of the best ways to learn something is to try and solve problems with it before you've even been taught how. So, imagine trying to solve a complex math problem before your teacher has shown you the formula. It's going to feel frustrating, maybe even a little pointless, but it's actually a learning superpower.
And we've got the numbers to back this up. A huge review of 53 different studies found that students who first struggled with problems all on their own, before getting any instruction, performed an average of 13% better on the final tests. So why does this work? Well, that struggle, that failure, it creates these knowledge gaps in your brain. Your brain becomes hyper-aware of what it doesn't know, so when the answer is finally revealed, it just clicks into place in a way that just passively listening never could.
But wait, it gets even wilder. Another study found that students who took a practice test on material they hadn't even seen yet scored a staggering 49% better than the students who just studied the material normally. Almost 50% better. Just by trying to pull information out of their brains that wasn't even there yet, they were priming their minds to grab onto that material and really absorb it when they finally saw it.
This is all part of a bigger idea that scientists call desirable difficulties, which is just a fancy way of saying you should make learning harder for yourself in the short term to make it stick for the long term. And you can start using these right now. Try interleaving. That's where you mix up different but related skills in one practice session instead of just doing one thing over and over. Use spacing. Spread your learning out over days and weeks instead of cramming it all in at once. And always try to solve the problem or explain the concept to yourself before you look at the answer. So let's put this all together, shall we? We've torn down that old bad advice and we've replaced it with this powerful three-part framework. A framework that's actually designed to build that deep cross-domain expertise we've been talking about.
This is it. This is your blueprint. Step 1, go deep first. Forget about dabbling. Build that real, intuitive expertise in one core field so you know what mastery actually feels like. Step 2, use comparison. Actively, relentlessly connect what you're learning to patterns in completely different worlds. And Step 3, embrace the struggle. Use productive failure and these desirable difficulties to make your learning harder, but so much more effective.
So the takeaway here is that becoming a polymath isn't some accident of aimless curiosity. It is a deliberate strategy. It's about building depth, then connecting patterns, and then embracing the struggle along the way. And that really leaves us with just one final, very important question to think about. What foundation will you master first?